Guys, I'm really, really happy to see all of you here. I'm happy that finally everything is working, that we went live. Welcome everyone to the Maxroll Future of Diablo 4 podcast. We are sitting here to discuss this Future of Diablo 4, to discuss the Season 2, to discuss what the hell is going on. And I'm really happy that today I could invite the smart and handsome people here to help me, to help us to figure out what the hell is going on, obviously. I have here today, I have cArn, the world first barbarian, hardcore barbarian that there is, that's like in existence, okay? The ex, I will massacre it, I will massacre your titles, definitely, but you are the ex-professional e-sport person. Am I right?
In StarCraft 2 and Dota 2, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost said it correctly. We have here also Raxx, the guy with the blue hoodie. We have here the second guy with the blue hoodie, like, I don't know. They were prepared, guys. They were prepared. We have here the DM, the guy with absolutely the best hairs that this community has to offer. And we have the DatModz. We have the ultimate, the best druid that there is.
Oh, I don't know about that
life. The alive druid. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Okay. I prepared a bunch of questions. I'm always preparing a bunch of questions, and yeah, we're going to talk about the future of Diablo 4. I'm going to be asking those questions. I will be addressing every question to one of you, just so we have like the flow a little bit, so different people would be starting always talking. But obviously, with every question, any of you can comment. If you have something to say, you can jump in and say whatever you have to add. Yep, we are starting, and yeah, we're going to be talking about the future of D4, but first we need to understand where we are right now in the game. And so the first thing I would ask you to do, I would ask you to rate the game, how we are right now, before the patch. We're in Season 1. We're still in Season 1, people. How the game for you right now, from 1 to 10. How would you rate it? And the first one in our Diablo 4 class, the first one will be answering. DM will be answering.
Me first? All right, because there's two DMs. There's DatModz and this boy, but I'll take DM. I mean, the game's made, because you say for me right now, not necessarily how is my overall review of the game, because I thought it was a 7-10. It's designed for people that aren't us, people that play these games way less. It's a casual indie game. So if you're asking me right now at this stage in the game, it's like a 5. It's mid because there's nothing to do in the game and I'm not playing it.
Okay. cArn?
D4 out of 10, probably. Maybe even 3, honestly.
Guys, I'm putting the notes, okay? I'm putting all of this down.
Like this, like it's like DM said, there's nothing to do. Like you get to level 100, and even getting to 100 is can be a bit of a chore. And then you're like, well, I mean, there's nothing to do. You're doing 9 with dungeons, leveling reliefs. You maybe do Uber Lilith, but Uber Lilith doesn't drop anything. So it's like you don't even have a reason to do it. So yeah.
Yep.
Dat, what would you say?
Okay, so for me, the defining factor was Season 1 launch, right? I thought, Diablo 4 had this foundation. Season 1, they're really going to bring it up or bring it down. And for me, Season 1, I still say this all the time, I think it was the worst patch to ever come out in any ARPG ever. And it was a huge disappointment for me because, well, most of all, they just didn't really provide full solutions for a lot of problems. They just over-nerfed everything. They took away the fun. They nerfed like cooldown reduction. They didn't fix density. They didn't really add stuff. They just had half-baked solutions. And they didn't really add any good replayability. Malignant tunnels weren't really enjoyable. Varshan, the boss, I had my wife kill it. She doesn't even play Diablo 4. She didn't even move. She also didn't even use a health potion. So, and she is the epitome of a casual mobile gamer. So currently right now, after Season 1 with the adjustments like density and stuff like that, I would probably give the game I'll give it a 4.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I want to add to that, the words you used actually were the exact same I used after the patch drops in Season 1. I remember tweeting about it. I said this was the worst patch in history, like literally. the exact same words that I used for patch 1.
It was. I was so disappointed. I was like full of copium, right? Like I was like, guys, it's gonna be so good. They're hyping it up. They're going on this like media campaign. They're talking about new replayable bosses, Uber content, and then they released it, and it was just all nerfs and like these empty tunnels.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
They're like they really hyped it up hard, like between like the long patch notes and everything, and adding more. Yeah, I just don't want. I'm not gonna rant. I could rant on this for a long time. Raxx, it's your turn.
Drop it. Finalize it.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that everyone has said before. Like two of the problems were they were saying that Diablo 4 seasons are going to be a higher magnitude than anything that they've ever done, even in Diablo 3. But at the tail end of Diablo 3, they started to release really, really awesome seasons. So kind of like Mod said, you're going to do better than that. This season 1, it wasn't even close. And for me, it's all about like trajectory and like community morale. The morale was much better on launch, and then it progressively got worse with the chain nerfs when the season 1 didn't deliver. So I was thinking, like my rating when they asked me before the game launched, I think maybe this game could get an 8 out of 10. That was based upon the trajectory getting better, but it went very, very in the opposite direction. So I would say I rated it an 8 at the beginning. I'd probably still be nice to them because their underlying systems are still there. Maybe I give it like a 5, I guess a 5, but it's definitely going down until they announce this patch. So they dug themselves in a huge hole, in my opinion.
Well, we definitely did. Okay, guys, everything is recorded. Now we got the patch. We got 2 streams. We got the gigantic patch notes. And there are so many changes. Come on, it absolutely feels like, okay, not everything, but a lot of things were changed. And obviously here, we're not going to go through all of the changes, just too many of them. And that's why I would like to ask you to call me every one of you, one that you like ultimately the most, and hopefully then we're going to cover a bunch of like really awesome things that are coming into this game. And I'm shooting this question into cArn.
It's hard because I have two main things that I liked about that I think are pretty good changes. And it's first of all the change to crit and vuln. I think this is really good. It enables a lot of items to be actually useful in the game, like a lot of uniques that you would not use because the stats are just bad on them. You can't use them. There's no crit, there's no vuln. Can't use them. And I think it's gonna add a lot of variety in what type of items you're gonna use and give you a lot more flexibility when it comes to itemizing. It's gonna be a lot more interesting. It's not just crit vuln everywhere and that's it. And the other one is the new bosses, right? Like we have Duriel, we have actually something that with some items that you can target farm from them. All the new bosses, like specific units that drop on them, you can actually target farm them, and you have to access them. You need to get the fragments, to be able to spawn the boss, and you need to do very different activities in the game. You need to do whispers, you need to do legion, you need to do hell tides. You need to do everything basically. You're not gonna be just okay. I'm doing nightmare dungeons and that's it, right? There's actually stuff to do, and you have to go around do a lot of different things in the game.
Who wanna talk can talk.
Yeah, so to pick something different than cArn highlighted, one thing for me and one thing that people have been screaming for that we didn't get is a loot filter, right? You go through one nightmare dungeon, you pick up 5 million items, and like ARPGs are about hunting really godly items, and the process of doing that is an absolute nightmare. So to me, all the pseudo loot filter things that they implemented into this patch, I think are going to make it feel a million times better. First of all, having a hierarchical system of how the stats actually list on each item makes comparing it a lot faster. But also the auto salvaging and the not showing of all the crappy loot and not having like the reversals between the sacred and the ancestral items when you switch world tiers, I think is going to make one of the fundamental things about ARPGs hunting items much more enjoyable and less cumbersome. I think people are going to really feel that change. I'm hoping in Season 2, and it's going to be a lot more fun.
Me, it's uber uniques being farmable. I just want to chase item. I want a reason to log in and be like, can I get a fun clippable moment of something exciting that happened that I didn't expect to happen? And the current answer with the game state is no. It's impossible. There's nothing that would drop that would matter. There's no excitement I can do. Everyone's killed Uber Lilith a billion times with like the equivalent of a stick. I don't really understand where they're supposed for how do I even generate excitement for people that are watching? You know what I mean? If we want to all make content, which we all make content, how do I make my job fun for people to watch? And I feel like Uber Uniques answer that at least partially with the new season. There's nothing that I can showcase in the game currently that makes me or the person watching excited literally at all. So chasing Uber Uniques, I'm hyped for that.
Yeah, no, I agree with all those
Yeah.
points. And one thing people didn't mention was progressively rewarding players a better loot for doing harder content. I think that's pretty integral to an ARPG, right? People should have access to loot. You know, you should have like craftable loot what Diablo 4 doesn't have yet, but having potentially higher item level stuff drop from doing harder content, I think is a step in the right direction. Is it going to be like what I expect in season 2? Not necessarily, but hopefully just keep on building upon that and having like more bosses in the game to challenge players and kind of diversify your gameplay and allow you to focus farm. I love focus farm. I like the randomness of drops, right? You know, when you're open the world and you're farming, you need a big drop like DM said, and you just go crazy. But then also just being able to farm one boss specifically to try to obtain like some end game goals, nice too.
Sweet,
Yeah.
sweet, sweet. I'm just really, really happy to see my body do real again. I really, really hope to have this experience again. Maybe it will not happen, but I want this experience from Diablo 2. You are entering a hole, there is a gigantic bug jumping on you and one-shotting you. I hope, I believe. I will dream, and it will all will be worth it, and he will drop me Uber Uniques. Yeah. But dream is coming. Guys, overall, the patch is super positive. There is a lot of things that we were waiting for. There is a quality of life changes, and yeah, once again, it's just so many things were added. It's insane. A lot of cool things, cool stuff, things that you mentioned will completely change the game. But is there something that you see in the patch notes, and you like, okay, this may cause the problems. I'm not sure why they did it, how it will be, how it will work out. Is there something that's concerning you in those patch notes? DatModz.
Oh, sorry, go.
One of my biggest concerns, the focus. So I think the revamp to resistances and kind of diverting back to how you build a resist in Diablo 2. You know, you just fill them up, right? You have max resist for additional damage reduction. But they're also like adding in bosses that require different resistances and potentially max resist. So now here they're requiring multiple gear sets, right? And if you want multiple alts, guess what? We still got the same amount of stash space. And they're adding like more like, you know, grindable items and target unique. So in my mind, hey, it's nice that, hey, we're actually going to build a character and care about a lot of our defensive stats. But then in my mind, I'm like, where am I going to put all this stuff? I already have a bunch of mules, and I think I might just run out of stash space based on how much I play.
I think that's not going to be that much of an issue because regardless, I think for regular gameplay, you're going to want to cap all your resistances. And I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem because the affixes on the items go pretty high. Like ancestral items go up to 65 res of a single res, right? So you should be able to cap it with like maybe some from Paragon and then a few affixes here and there, rings, amulets. And I think you should be able to cap your res without sacrificing too much. It's like the affixes that you would lose. Well, previously it would probably have been like damage reduction, but you're getting more defense from the resistances. So I don't think there's going to be that much of an issue. But then, yeah, I think eventually, if you want to min-max your character to do like a certain boss, then yeah, you're going to have to make a separate set of gear where you don't waste all these extra res you don't need, yeah.
I actually
Did they say somewhere in the patch notes?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, my bad. Didn't they say somewhere in the patch notes that they were expecting people that hit max resistances at like level 80 or something? There was a slide somewhere where they mentioned like, oh, we expect people to be hitting these resistance values at like level 80, 85. So my understanding of that is that probably means that they're not expecting it to be very difficult, you know, to get the resistances and the gearing. It should basically solve itself was the way I was hearing that.
Yeah.
Actually, I have my fear is that like we have the resistances on gear, on jewelry. Yeah, a lot of resistances. We have a lot of resistances on the paragon. We have resistances on the elixirs. For me, no, like guys, you should do the math, but for me, I'm more concerned that resistances again won't matter just because it will be too easy to max them out. And you kind of this ultimate decision that you should make how for me to get them all to the same level, that it won't matter when you are reaching even level 80, even level 90. It will be all, it doesn't matter from the paragon boards, I have there everywhere, my resistances are all maxed, so whatever. But I don't know how it actually will work out.
I know they said it. I just don't know how free the resists are going to be. Is it just going to be something that's out of sight, out of mind, or will you actually have to make some itemization or like affix sacrifices on some slots to max out those resists, right? Be they're changing like rings where it always had the all resist implicit, and then it had like one random resist. So instead of like two resists, it'll always have like all resists, and then they'll either have like shadow or poison or fire. So in my mind, I would have like different rings for like different bosses or something, or different content.
I hope it's that way because I actually like building around resistances in other games. I find it rather enjoyable personally to like, oh, this defensive property actually makes me feel good to get on an item. I think some of my most excitement I got out of PoE was getting an item with just a ton of good resistances on it. I was like, oh, that's actually really good. And then we're going to have the negative resistances as we go up in the world here, which I actually quite like that as well. So I'm kind of excited by resistance change.
Yeah, so
it's a good change.
Yeah, so to tag on to that, I saw someone make a comment yesterday. They were going through the presentation, like, wow, I don't like this resistance change because now it's giving me another thing to solve. I kind of like stepped back and like had like a weird look on my face. I'm like, we don't solve anything right now. Giving us, puzzles to solve, something to do with itemization is, something that we're actually going for. To point out some other things that I think could go wrong. I hope they don't, but you never know. Well, they said after all the changes, the new uniques, the new balancing of everything, the new Paragon, the 925 items, the crit and vuln changes, they rebalance the entire game so the average build can complete the content. Well, we'll see how that rebalance exactly went. It could have gone very wrong. It could be still very difficult. It could be very difficult. It could be very easy. If they hit it perfectly, that'll be amazing. But we'll have to see exactly how that went. And one more thing is, with the crit and vulnerable nerfs, the most logical question you would ask is, well, if crit and vulnerable give you additive damage after you stack it, well, why wouldn't I just take the other affixes that have a higher magnitude? Did you just switch it from stacking crit and vulnerable to now just stacking the other affixes, which are apparently in the same damage bucket? And their solution to that was implementing these different multiplicative bonuses that they want you to chase in like the Paragon boards and stuff that will apply if you stack specific affixes that you're hunting. Okay, so in theory, that could work, but we'll see. Let's see how it actually plays out. That's another thing that could be completely dismissed. Nobody goes for that. And then they went from stacking crit and vulnerable to never stacking it.
I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue because the rolls, the crit damage rolls and the vuln rolls have been improved. Like they increased, right? They buffed the value of on the items. Like crit damage, I think, went up by 40%. No, was it vuln? One of them went up by 20%, the other one by 40% on the items. So there's that. I think that for builds that can reach, for example, crit cap, get enough crit chance, then you will still go for crit damage eventually because the values are higher. But yeah, it's like you're right. Like early on, it's probably just going to be a box you tick. You have vuln and that's it. You don't care about getting vuln damage, just get vuln, a source of vuln. And then we'll get crit chance probably. And eventually, when you have enough crit chance, then crit damage will become valuable again. But I don't think there's going to be that big of an issue because they actually made sure they tweaked the values on the crit damage and vuln on items again. So it's not going to be like, obviously, you just take what's unconditional because crit damage is very conditional, so is vuln. So.
Yeah, and going off what you said there, Raxx, right? So like crit chance and vuln effects are like still quite valuable. But the other thing is like how they diverted some of the power to the Paragon boards. They diverted some of that power to one of my least favorite things in the game, and that's conditional multipliers. So it's like hey, yeah, we gave you more multiplicative bonuses, but now they're under the guise of damage to crowd control. Yeah, and when you're generally farming, right, that's fine, but then if you get up to a boss, right, it's not applicable unless it's like staggered, right? So you're just missing that damage now. There's like certain elites and mobs too in the game that might not affect. So it might lead to more build swapping and changing, and we're not going to get Paragon board resets until what are they, the 25th?
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah,
so.
something like this.
Sometime, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks or something like that. 10
Thank
days.
God for the Paragon
So-
board reset. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. And the dummy. I want
Can't
to tell
come
this. A
soon
lot of
enough.
stuff is really.
A dummy, yeah.
Yeah. So
That
I
wasn't
kinda
even
just-
armory.
Oh,
Yeah, I kind of just wish they move
That's too
away from a
much.
lot of the conditional multipliers. They have too many
Yeah.
conditional things in the game, and I just don't feel good. And close damage and range damage, I think they should have slowed out too. So I'm kind of excited for when they actually do the affix revamp in the future. So this patch, I think, step in the right direction, but with the value changes, they just need to do more.
They
I
were
have one
even.
worry. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go
Okay.
ahead.
I had one worry, like related to what you were talking about the Raxx, about the balance because of all the changes they made. Like one of them was like the game might be too easy, probably because all the because they're removing crit and vuln, but we're getting a lot of other multipliers that you can get from Paragon, for example, or things like this. And the item powers are going up to 950, I think, fully upgraded now, or was it
925.
25?
925.
Yeah, but that was upgraded. Was that upgraded or base? Because they said
Base.
monsters
Yeah, it's
dropped that.
upgraded.
That's a good question. The unique
so I
drop.
think-
I'm pretty
at
sure it's
925.
base, right?
Yeah, it's
it's
base. So it's gonna be
It's
950. Yeah.
Yeah, 925 drops for monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're getting like 950 item power items, like the best we can get, and that plus I guess they replaced some of them. And they're gonna see, like you said, like rebalance monsters, maybe make them weaker, less tanky, etc. I'm very worried that the game might be too easy, especially with the XP being this much faster, and that was one of my concerns. It was like the game might be a lot way too easy after these changes. But I think it's okay if the balance just completely whacked for a bit. Because these are changes that needed to be made, and it will just be better for the future, regardless of how the balance ends up. Too easy, too hard, class imbalances, build imbalances. I don't think this matters too much. I'm expecting balance to be a gigantic mess, honestly, because there's too many things changed, and I think it's really difficult to hit it right on the first try. But I think that's okay.
Yeah, just as long as it's not worked in Arc Nemesis. So
Yeah.
yeah, they'll probably definitely have some balance issues. I agree with that. Probably a lot to do.
And here I have actually two comments. My concern, here I am the definition of a chill player, of a casual player here between us. And for me, one of the things that's actually concerning me is 40% faster you will be reaching level 100. This phrase. For me, trip to level 100, it's a wonderful trip. It's taking me a couple of weeks. It's amazing. But it kind of should be. Should be like this. And right now, we're going to be doing it 40% faster. Right now, Uber Lilith was changed a bit, will be changed, and Uber Lilith will be also easier. What will be the ultimate challenge? Is the game going to be too easy? How it's going to be? Are we entering this moment when the game will be too easy? What will be our ultimate challenge now in the game?
I think the answer to that's probably that they want more people to be hitting level 100. They're adding like a new pinnacle boss, which is level 100 content, and they want more people to experience the new content that they're adding into the game with these in-game bosses, etc. And in order to get people there, they have to help them along because people are getting bored on the grind to 100. So I think if they really release season 2 with the same XP numbers, but with so much content than 100, the amount of people actually experiencing the content to even, like, let's say, get back into the game is too few. And I think they're trying to open up the opportunity for their player base to experience the new content more often. So if I had to guess why they're doing that, I think that we're losing too many people in the higher mid levels who are quitting the game.
Yeah, so I agree with DM here. I think like the order of operations, if you had to pick and choose, you need to get people interested in the game first because they're like flocking away from the game. And then we're going to need, as you said, Anna, the pinnacle content, the real difficult end game stuff, the exciting stuff to go along through a Diablo journey with. But people are already feeling bad because there's very little to do in the end game, and the very little bit that there is to do, reach 100, fight Uber Lilith. This is impossible for casuals to do for how long it takes. So I think they're just trying to bring people back into the game. And then Joe Shelley said on one of the final extra questions, I think two podcasts ago, was, what are you guys really honing in on for the next season? And they said end game content. So I think that's the right order. Bring people back, then make endgame content.
They could always adjust the pacing in the game in the future. And I think for a lot of people, not everyone's a streamer, not everyone's a no-lifer that sits around and plays the game, 10, 12, 15 hours a day. So I don't know what the internal stats are, but, maybe internally not enough people are getting past that void. In Diablo 4, that void is level 70 to level 100. So they're just trying to make that a little bit easier, and they're trying to give people that enjoyable mid-level content in between, which I think is a good focus for you. That's how you kind of keep like the dad gamer, the more casual ARP enjoyer interested in your title, giving them more things to do while reaching level 100, not just slugging it for 30 hours while regrinding the most efficient Nightmare Dungeon. So I think they're actually hitting the head on that, where they're reducing the time needed to level 100. And if it's a little bit too quick, they can make it longer, but giving players more things outside of just leveling that rewards their character, rewards their progression, and gives them some type of excitement.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I don't think faster XP is like gonna be necessarily a bad thing. But they might like tweak it back and dial it down later once it turns out that it's way too fast, because it might be. But I think it's okay because there's like this window in the progression where getting XP is very, very tedious. I'd say it's before getting towards tier 3 and before getting towards tier 4. It's like there's a window where you have your gear, but you need more levels, right? Because otherwise you go to tier 4 and it's very XP inefficient and don't really want to go there yet, at least in hardcore. And I found there's it's like in these transitions are pretty awkward, especially in World Tier 3 to 4, because the items you get in World Tier 3 are completely worthless for your character later on. And you're not really progressing your character in that time. So all you're doing is just catching the last levels you need before you can move on to World Tier 4 and not be too XP inefficient.
Yeah. Well, they are adjusting the XP values for like Tree of Whispers and the Hell Tides, and then you have like the new Vampire Influence Zones. So comparatively, I wonder experience per hour, like how good will that be compared to Nightmare Dungeons? The Nightmare Dungeons, right, why are they so appealing? Well, first off, glyph levels, and they are the quickest XP route, but I wonder if other open world stuff will actually grant you somewhat comparable gains. So people just don't be like, oh, I have to live in a Nightmare Dungeon only.
Yeah.
If they, go ahead.
Whispers got what, 100% buff?
Yeah. That's a pretty large number. I guess gold too. Joe Pipora kind of said they're going to give millions of gold, but then he kind of stopped himself mid-sentence and just said they're going to give a lot of gold. So, yeah, I wonder like how much gold they're going to give, or maybe that wasn't like
Some
set in
amount.
stone. He's like, man, oh wait, we might still be adjusting that.
Yeah, I think whether they hit that nail on the head or not in this patch, definitely the feeling that I get is they want to make the overworld something that people want to do, right? Currently, you just go to Helltide, and once in a while, the world bosses have no health. They die instantly. They drop not really anything that you really care about. They changed the world bosses. They made them way harder, and now they have, quote unquote, significantly more rewards. Seems like this entire patch is just trying to make the overworld more enticing. So if we go through Season 2, and the conclusion is that players still don't interact with the overworld, I think Blizzard's just going to buff it again, because that seems like the intention of what they're trying to do.
Agreed.
Yeah. I like that. I like that they try to make you do more stuff in the overworld too. Like more variety to what you should be doing to progress your character.
I love it. I love I like the idea just of 5 new bosses that to farm each one of them, you need to do particular things in the game and to go from one event to the other event, and just the change that you don't have to all the time to stay in the Nightmare Dungeons. Yeah, no, hopefully that's gonna make the feeling of the game completely different. But yeah, guys, we will see. And here is the ultimate we will see question, or how I'm calling it. What could possibly go wrong? PTR question. And this is the thing that I see a lot. It's why in my chat I see this comment all the time. What about PTR? Do we have the PTR? Should we have the PTR? We don't have the PTR right now, and I do understand why Blizzard doesn't want to add it. They kind of don't want to spoil the content that they're already adding, but I don't know, guys. Right now there are so many changes, and so many things could go wrong. Do you want the PTR, or do you agree that it should be like this?
Who's first?
Oh, Raxx. Damn it, I forgot.
Yeah, so the $1,000,000 question, should you do a PTR? So obviously, not doing a PTR, you preserve like the allure of everyone discovering everything brand new on day one, which is exciting. I mean, in the old days when you'd order Super Metroid or you wouldn't order it, you'd go to Best Buy or whatever and buy Super Metroid. There was no guide. You didn't know anything. You just plugged it into the cartridge and started it, and that is an incredible feeling. At the same time, you're broadcasting this, to millions of people, and there is quite a bit on the line for it to go well. And historically, I've been a part of a lot of Blizzard's PTRs. Players have caught terrible, horrendous bugs that if it would have went live, it would have been a disaster. And I wouldn't say Blizzard's internal testing has been super reliable in the past. In my opinion, if I was the one making the decision, I would probably do at a minimum a closed PTR and maybe try to avoid some spoilers. Maybe you don't throw Uber Duriel or whatever. But if you let it doesn't matter who you pick. You could pick anybody here, or you could pick anybody else, some community members from the forums or Reddit or anything. But if you let people actually get in there and take a crack at it, at least they could identify some maybe colossal bugs that you might want to fix. But it would only be valuable if Blizzard hosts the PTR early enough to where they would actually take action on the feedback. I've seen Blizzard do plenty of testing phases, and then they don't have time to implement the feedback. That would be worthless. So they would need to do it maybe a month or two in advance. But I would be in favor of a closed PTR to catch some of these major bugs.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with D4. They did their tests, and then they didn't have time to implement the feedback. Well, pretty much until now. I guess a lot of the adjustments for this patch are literally feedback that was given to them early on that wasn't able to be adjusted early on. Yeah. No, I'm pro PTR. I think it's good for the overall health of the game. It does take away some of the mystery, but having less bugs, having less bad PR, is definitely a good thing.
I have to ask myself. Sorry, keep going. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Oh, that's it.
I have to ask myself whether or not, what would I rather have? A mysterious game that comes out bad, or a game that I know is going to come out good? And it seems like there's an obvious answer there. I'm for the public test realm if it means we get a better product to play. Because the mystery is cool for the first 15 minutes when you log into the game for the first time and read the patch notes. And you're like, okay, new boss is great. I'm hyped. But that's all that not having literally quality assurance that the game is any good buys you. It buys you temporary hype, which then turns into permanent disappointment. So why not just make the game good with testing? Help pay for testers. They don't have to use the community to do it. Hire people to actually play the game on payroll, and then you don't have to leak it if you don't want to. But it seems to me actually testing the game before you put it out there would probably be a good idea.
I'm torn on that one. I'm 50-50 on this because I really like going into a season or a league with you don't know anything, right? And you discover and you figure out everything on the day, because that was one of the things that personally, for example, ruined the launch for me. The preseason was that everything was sold. There's no mystery, nothing to figure out. We already knew the best build, we already knew how everything was gonna go, and that was a big buzzkill for me at least. And there's also the problem of like you mentioned, races. If there's races, For example, well, if you're playing the PTR, and if not everybody's playing the PTR, then the people playing the PTR would not be able to participate in like races. There's going to be leaderboards from season 3 onwards, right? So that's going to matter too, and that's going to be a problem. But yeah, it's like Dot said, yeah, the game coming out and like working properly is also very important. So like honestly, whichever way it goes, I think I'll just accept it. Like I don't really care either way because both have pros and cons to it. So
I'm asking this question pretty much every podcast, and I'm waiting this moment when the content creators will, you know, like when the opinion will start changing maybe. Like maybe some thought, something will happen in the community and the content creators will start saying, no, it's fine without the PTR. But no, guys, so far, nothing changed. Everyone really, really want the PTR. I'm waiting for the PTR. Okay.
One thing though, right? So like Diablo 4 doesn't really have competitive stuff besides like user-made races, and there will eventually be leaderboards, I guess, in season 3. But for a majority of people, that's just kind of a spectator thing. Most people just want a good, enjoyable play experience, so avoiding like catastrophic bugs. So having like any scale of a test roam, I think, is just good for the game. Because like, you know, I know like cArn loves racing. That's basically what he lives for in every game that he plays, right? It's competitive and people like watching a race, but for like the general casual gamer, they're not really racing. They're just playing the game. They might watch, but I think it's just better to have a good play experience.
I had today a comment that, well, it doesn't matter, do we have PTR or not, because Blizzard proved that they are releasing the fixes really, really quick, within a couple of days. If something is broken, they're releasing the fixes. But actually, I don't agree with this, because you are starting a game. Either you are a racer or you are just a chill player who want to just enjoy the season. Maybe you took a day off. Maybe you have the weekend where you plan to actually blast, when you are planning enjoying the game. And if in those 3 days, the game is not working, and just because they released a new patch and it wasn't properly tested and now it's not working, like that is the experience that it will be ruined. It will be ruined anyway. So I'm coming from Diablo 3, come on. I'm obviously for the PTR, and it feels right now that we are diving into so much unknown right now with this patch. For me, it feels like the game, with all the changes to the damage buckets, with all the changes to the bosses, with the new theme, with everything, feels a bit like it will be a different game in terms of how the items, how the stats going to be working together, how all of this will be put together. So, okay, let's see what will be in season 2.
Yeah, in response to the guy from your chat who says that they're doing changes so quickly, I don't necessarily agree with that either, because it took us 2 seasons to make the mount not get stuck on a pebble, and I feel like that's something that probably could have been fixed.
yeah, there's a lot of things like that, like search function. Like, come on, it's 2023 without search function. Like, this is ridiculous. This was ridiculous. There's like a lot of things like that are just like they were like, completely unacceptable for a game like this on release. Like the no stash tab. I mean, okay, whatever. The no search function. The what else was there? There's like a bunch of stuff like that that they're fixing slowly but surely.
No loot filter.
Oh yeah, well yeah. No loot filter. I think there's something else.
Resistances don't work. You stack one damaging stat. There's no end game. Yeah.
I mean, these things are like, understandable, but like a search function, really? You can't search for item in our stash? Like, how? What? Like,
the best update. The best quality of life change.
Yeah.
You don't have a Paragon reset button.
Yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that's just like basic should be in, right?
Ultimately the dream. Okay, guys, then. But let's imagine everything is working as intended. The season is there, the season was released, everything is going smooth, everything not like how it was in the patch notes. We're playing. How do you think? How would you rate the game? In season 2, with this patch,
man.
How do you think it will be? Like, try to guess, I understand. Without proper testing, it's hard.
Okay, who you picking to go?
DM.
I have to rate the game as is, and now rate the game as okay, my lord. Okay, all right, give me the hard ones. You know what? I got optimism. It's gonna be 10 out of 10. This is the best shit ever. PoE's dead. D4 the best. PoE 2's dead. All of them dead. It's the best game. I have literally no idea. It could be a buggy mess. The uniques could be dog shit. The Ubers are still one in a billion.
But it's under the assumption that it goes well. It all goes well.
Everything is working as intended. I'm saying everything, everything is working how it's supposed to be.
You know what? I'll give him a 7.5 because how I felt about the game when the game started was a 7, and I was downgrading to maybe a 6 if you're someone who's going to grind all the way. Casual Andy game, it's a 7. All right. Now, if the new season comes, the casual Andies who are bored and come back to the game maybe now have a little bit more to do. 0.5 points higher for the casual boy, 7.5. I'm going to say for all the hardcore grind, there's still probably not enough in-game. We got 5 bosses targeting the same items we already have, and we got 1 boss that allows us to actually finally get an item that's been in the game that nobody has. So the amount of actual new stuff added in the game compared to other games in the genre, come on, like we're night and day against being a competitive game here. Last Epoch seems like it's got more in-game and it's not even out yet. So 7.5 is the highest I'm going to go.
Okay. cArn, we're gonna go exactly how we started.
Okay.
For me, well, I know I said it was like a 3 or 4 before, and I think this patch, like honestly, even if things go wrong when it comes to balance, etc., I don't think that's gonna matter too much. Like they just have to tweak stuff, but I would give it, from what I've seen, 7. I think this looks like a 7 because we have uniques. We have ways to farm them. We have stuff to do now. We actually have stuff to do, and the systems kind of change too. You have different itemization. It's gonna be a lot more. Like I said earlier, a lot more varied, you have a lot more choice, resistances to deal with too, to solve. And again, like different activities that you're gonna have to do in the game if you wanna like farm your Uber uniques or whatever uniques you're targeting from like each different boss. Like, I think it's gonna be a lot better. So I'm giving it a 7, I think, from what I've seen, regardless of like bugs, whatever. Like I don't really care about these things because who cares about this? These things get fixed and get tweaked. But like the base now will be a lot better than what it was on release or in season 1. Like there's stuff to do, stuff to target, ways to target them, and itemization is gonna be a lot more. Well, there's gonna be more to it than just crit one, right? So
Cool. DatModz.
Oh man. Well, given Blizzard's track record, I used to be fully in the corner when I was younger. I don't think everything's going to go right. I really hope it goes right, but given the most recent years and basically everything they've launched, it pretty much never goes right. However, I do think it's a step in the right direction, like having like the 5 new bosses. We don't know the difficulty of those. Like, are they just going to peel over? Is there going to be bugs with resist? Are they just going to one-shot you randomly because you don't have a poison resist potion on Duriel? Yeah, like how fun engaging are the new bosses? And that's one of the big things for me. Some of the new items look cool, like for Druid, the Dolmen Stone, like having like the boulder rotate around your hurricane, basically like a boulder vortex. I thought, hey, that looks pretty cool, right? So there's going to be some cool new builds, like they're revamping minions, doing the minion survivability stuff, giving minions a passive so they don't get one shot now. They're doing a lot of revamps, and it's definitely taking, the game in the right direction. Is it enough for everybody? It definitely isn't. They definitely need to focus on more end game activities, like having crafting and basic QOL stuff like loot filters. So I think a C is pretty appropriate for this patch if everything is right. I think right at that 7 mark is probably a good guesstimation. I really don't think it's going to go totally correct, though. I think something's going to be messed up.
Oh,
but I really hope.
It's 0% chance.
They just
it's
blow us out of the water.
It's going to be a gigantic mess, I think. I'm expecting a gigantic mess, but it's fine.
I really hope it goes good, though. I really do. I wish them the best.
Just dying. The minions are no longer getting one-shotted. I remember walking up with like my row of minions and the Balrog just fires them all down. I'm like I can't even play the game with these guys again. Thank God, dude.
And then
Yeah.
in the beta, the minions ruled, so then they nerfed them right before launch. So they got like the complete wrong idea about the minions from the beta. But yeah, so assuming everything goes perfectly, which it won't, but I kind of agree with cArn. Even if it doesn't go perfectly, at least we changed it to the right thing. They can tweak it going forward. I'm not too worried about that. So I approach it from what are like some of the key things that you're currently missing. So if the game starts at a 10 and you just start deducting for what you don't have, this is a little bit of an end game, but really not much. Like all of us here will probably kill all the Uber bosses very quickly, and then we'll get to 100 even faster. And so the end game is probably the most lacking thing. We don't have a loot filter. They're going to have to fix all the bugs. The one thing that I will give them credit for is if this foundational stuff that they implemented works well, then in future developments, like for season 3 with leaderboards, and they even said directly the thing that they're working on is the end game. At least their to-do list is not 1,000 items long. It's getting more narrow, and they can, hopefully drill some end game activities. So I think the trajectory again is going very well. So I think what I'll do is, on launch, I gave it an 8. It dropped down to a 5. I think now that assuming everything goes well, their foundation is again at about an 8-ish. Now they got to do loot filter and end game, and then hopefully it can continue to go up from there.
That's not bad. We
Diablo
believe.
4. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Anna.
No. Continue.
The Diablo 4, a lot of people don't recognize this. They always just call Diablo 4 bad, but it has a really good base game. Like the combat, it feels like visceral. It's like reactive. It feels good. The gameplay, the graphics look really good. Like the sound team knocked it out of the park. Like, and visually, most of the skills look good. And they need some more mob variety and stuff. But the base game, actually, like the foundation, we're not talking about like what you're grinding for and what you're building up on your character, is actually pretty good. They just need to fill it out, and who really knows how long that's going to take? But it really is there. It got the potential, right? And just however long that it's going to take for them to unleash it. It's going to be exciting to see what they announce at BlizzCon, I think.
Absolutely.
They said, well, they hinted at in the last development podcast that they are going to someone asked, give us a year roadmap for Diablo 4, and they said BlizzCon. So I'm expecting a full year of Diablo 4 info. You said, Adam, I remember.
And
we'll
schedule and dates.
Yep. We need everything.
Yep. That would be actually absolutely amazing. Guys, what do you think about the seasonal theme? About the pure seasonal theme that we're getting? Like, vampires. Everyone likes vampires. But as a seasonal theme, is it enough? Imagine we are 3 seasons going in the future, and we have the season where we have couple of quality of life updates, some changes, maybe even the wardrobe. Unlikely, but maybe. But we have the same size of the seasonal theme.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna have again this like the experience of season 1, or maybe that's gonna be enough in the future? We're gonna have the bosses. We're gonna have all the bosses. We maybe even gonna have the leaderboard.
Do you mean the theme, or do you want to know?
I mean pure vampires, vampiric powers, vampire helltide, vampire dungeons, some quest line that's introducing you into this. Am I missing something?
Yeah.
Blood around everywhere.
Boring. I'll give you a hot take. I think it's boring as shit. They joked about the zombie theme in the beginning. Zombies would have been more interesting. I'm pretty over the standard vampire, zombie, blood. Give us something cool. Give us an invasion of like siege mechs or something. Like, can you write something original? Would be pretty dope. I'm not like a massive hater of it. Vampires, cool. I mean, I don't know. Vampires are overdone for me. It's in everything.
Yeah, I don't care at all about the seasonal stuff. Like, I honestly have no. I think it's very insignificant in this season, at least for me. Like, it's like, okay, cool, you get some powers, but like the season mechanic itself, like there's no mechanic, right? You just kill vampires, or like whatever they are, the guys that you have to kill for what they call again? That is sort of
Helltide from level 1.
Oh yeah, there's like the weird, like there's the blood helltide. No, there's like the special monsters that you kill for
Bloodseekers.
Some Yeah, the Bloodseekers, right? That's all. It's just like Bloodseekers running around and you're doing the Helltide V2, the 2.0. That's it. I mean, and the boss that's probably gonna be the same as Varshan, just dying 2 hits. So, I mean, it's very flaccid, but that's fine. I think the rest was more important to nail than an actual seasonal team. That's good.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, your turn, Raxx.
My turn.
Yeah.
So I always go back to what they said. I always go back to when they said Diablo 4 seasons are going to be a much higher magnitude than anything that you've seen. This is absolutely not the case. So let me give you an example. Last couple of seasons in Diablo 3, they released an entirely new item class, the ethereal items. They were godly, and they gave you like these superpowers. That was fun. Then the next season they released the angelic things, where you could make a primal ancient and it had superpowers. It was actually something completely different. Then they released an entirely new progression endgame system with the altar, which gave you like the highest quality of life ever in the season. People absolutely loved that. It completely is made by like 3 developers in like a Harry Potter closet. We have a whole building full of people designing season themes. I was expecting something like that, but to me, season 1 is like season 2. You kill zombies, you get zombie powers. You kill vampires, you get vampire powers. Have a second Helltide, and it starts at level 1. If it's not like a permanent addition to the game or something, I don't even think you even matched the Diablo 3 seasons, let alone overshadowed them. So your question specifically was, are you going to be okay with the magnitude of the seasons as they have released them? I don't think they're good enough. I don't think they're good enough to get you super excited about them. This is one area that I really hope going forward, they're much more brave. Like Path of Exiles, be brave, do something crazy. Even if it doesn't work, I will applaud you just for doing something crazy, even if it doesn't work perfectly.
I mean, I think it's okay in this season in particular because there's a lot of changes to the base game itself, to the core of the game. Like I think if it was like a season where a patch where we don't have that many changes, like it's more or less the same, just maybe a couple of uniques here and there, and then I think in this case the season has to be big, has to have, you know, like you said, like do crazy stuff, do crazy shit. It's fine. I think for this one in particular, because the base game had so many problems that needed to be fixed, so they probably had to just focus on that. I think that's okay. Like I'm okay with the season itself being like kind of whatever, but it's okay. It's just, honestly, it's like almost nothing. But I think that's fine.
I completely agree with you. In this particular moment, all hands on deck need to be to change the base game, not on the season theme. I don't care about this one. But going forward, my expectation for the seasons, like they probably already made season 3, so maybe that's out. But my expectation going forward is it will be better than this, honestly.
Yeah, it has to be.
What do you think the odds are? Oh, sorry, DatModz, you go on.
Oh, so I actually think they're approaching seasons incorrectly. So they're just doing like these seasonal themes that they're throwing away, and it's like whatever, right? So like a lot of them are not really too adventurous, right? They're really not pushing borders. They should be because they're not permanent. I really thought these first couple seasons that they were going to be working on things that were going to be permanent additions to the main game, and continue to build off of it to give players more replayable content. Instead, right now they're wasting all these dev times on like vampires and like malignant hearts and malignant tunnels and all these things besides like Varshan's pretty much the only thing going into the game right now. All this other dev time is just being scrapped and thrown away, and it might get reused at a certain point, but for the most part they could have been doing other stuff and then thematically just introducing, keep that in the base game, but instead they just keep them thrown away, and I think that's kind of the wrong approach.
I completely agree.
They might be saving it for later. They might just be doing the same with PoE. Sometimes you just have a league mechanic that doesn't go core, and you wait until it's the right time. Like, they might be doing the same thing.
Have you seen the Asmongold answer? Because he asked them during the live stream, are they going to keep? Is it possible to keep one of the hearts? Cast some hearts for the Necromancer. Yeah. And again, they said, watch the BlizzCon. So again, I guess there will be again some news during the BlizzCon.
kind of where I was going to go with this. Is I was going to say, what do you guys think the odds are that because vampire powers are in armor, but malignant hearts are in jewelry, they do seem specifically to be on opposite pieces of gear. Season 3 is they combine the powers of two, like Voltron, and now you have vampire powers and malignant hearts, and then they throw some other twist in there. It feels like they're setting up to put everything together, to be honest. They're not putting them in jewelry again.
That's possible.
It's possible, but I still don't like the colors of the sockets on the jewelry, so, well, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, not having the ability to change color of your sockets was definitely a huge oversight on their part. Like, how it was
I think that was intentional. They didn't want you to be able to change that. I think they wanted you to drop the right item, the ring with the right color, the right stats, and I think that's what they wanted.
I think that might. Go ahead.
It didn't really feel too good though in the end. I think that was the idea, but when you were playing, it felt bad when you finally got something itemized well, and then it just has the wrong color, and you just couldn't utilize it at all.
I just spent an unpronounceable amount of money to roll in a stat. I had a perfect ring. It was godly. I rolled everything. It's finally for real perfect. Just to in the last moment to see. Wait a moment, it has the wrong color. I just kind of rolled away.
Yeah, I think like the people here we will play a lot. Like if we find a perfect ring that doesn't have the right color, okay, it feels bad. We'll just farm another one. And they kind of like probably thought that there's one way you can get around it because one of your pieces of gear has a wrathful socket that can go in anything. So maybe you can get you don't have to get it literally perfect. You just have to drill 2 out of the 3. But it didn't work because when you finally did find your really good barber, unless you knew a way, which people eventually figured out on how to farm 1,000,000 barbers per hour, when you throw your barber in, you don't have that like omni socket to deal with it. So there were, even me, I leveled 1,000,000 characters to 100. I was still dropping rings with just the wrong color socket that I couldn't use. And I was just sitting there, I was like, this ring is godly and I can't use it unless I go around and farm another barber. I get it. They're trying to give us things to do. They're trying to give us problems to solve. But man, I was just staring. It's like, this one doesn't feel good. I'm already looking through 5 million rings in my inventory all day long without a loot filter. I finally found the right one and I can't use it. I put it in my stash reluctantly and go about my day. It's not a good feeling. And casual players will not go farm another ring. They'll just use it and just be sad.
Yeah. Guys, do you know already with which build you are starting Season 2? For what you're going?
You're trying to steal builds now, huh?
Yeah, she's got a pen in her hand. I see it. The paper's underneath the camera.
I'm not even hiding. Come on. With all the details, please.
It literally was there.
It wasn't a secret. Okay. Come on.
Who's first? Mods?
Okay, Mods. I guess I haven't gone first. I kind of already mentioned it, but the Dolmen Stone for Druid. I play a lot of Druid. I've played every other class, but I think it's like one of the coolest interactions that they showcase, like just having Boulder basically turn into a Boulder Vortex. I'm like, that's how unique items should be. That's how items in the game should be, right? Now, just instead of like a couple more stats that should change the functionality of it. And I just got this Boulder Vortex thing going on. So yeah, Boulder Vortex, like Druid hammered in, whatever you want to call it. I think that's pretty cool. And then like if I just wasn't allowed to play Druid for whatever reason, probably Fireball Sork. The changes to the unique items look pretty sweet.
I love it when they're giving us some legendary power that's actually look cool. That actually doing something, not just increasing your numbers of whatever stats, but you can feel it, you can see that some crazy things are happening on the screen. So yeah.
Yeah, that unique actually almost made me want to play a Druid. I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to play this. I'm definitely going to play Druid at some point.
Try the Thorn minions. I like that they changed it where instead of it just randomly like, oh, your skeleton mages inherit your thorns, like they have it go to all minions. So you can actually stack that stat now. So I'm kind of curious just how trash Thorn minions are, but I kind of want to try it. So I'm either going Thorn minions or I'm going to run it back and try Bear Druid again. It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm definitely leaning toward Necromancer. Necro is the one that I've played the least. I might try the Blood Necro with the overpowers. I might try Minion Necro. I might try Bone Spear just to see how gutted it is. I'm leaning toward Necro. If I don't go Necro, I'll probably go Sorcerer. But I do want to add something that DatModz said. I honestly think this is one of the most important things for Diablo 4's future. I just think this is super important. That unique items change the functionality of things around you. I think that is critical for Blizzard to double down on and build way more of this. Fireball shoots 2 fireballs or increases the damage by 50%. I would completely abolish any dev time for something like this. I want uniques that say like your firewall instead summons a wall of hydras or something. It's something crazy like this. Something that completely changes the way that it happens. You'll be like, oh my God, you have that item that does that awesome thing. Chain lightning summons a gigantic thunderstorm above you that just zaps everything. Something like that. That completely changes the functionality. I understand like the dev time there would be way higher or whatever, but if you built that stuff, I think a lot of people would have a lot more fun with the game. And remember, the whole reason why we play games like this is to hunt items. So you have uber bosses, you have these loot tables, you can do these things now. I really hope that they do that.
Yeah, 100% agree. That's what I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play Bone Shadow Slayer. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna play Roaring Bleed. I think Roaring Bleed looks insane this patch, so I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna spin in again. Believe it or not. Yeah. I'm gonna start with that and then there's gonna be more stuff I wanna play, but I'm 100% starting with this.
Going with the classic.
Yep. I mean, it's fun. It's like you said, actually, it's related to what you said earlier about, the game feeling good, like you have impacted the sound, everything. Like it's part of what makes Barb enjoy to play.
Mm-hmm. I agree, it's fun. Yeah. I got that's one of my speed farming character just spinning around. It's fun.
Nice.
Do you like the shout meta?
I don't mind it. I know people don't like it. I mean, I don't care. I played the build without any shouts. Well, with 1 shout. And I played build obviously like with all 3. And I don't mind either way. Like it's like I don't really care. Like I'm fine with either.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of old Pee-wee slams before they, gutted them. Like where you're just feeling all your shouts all the time.
Yeah, I mean I love slams, so I mean the thing is like here there's no real thinking behind shouts here. That's the thing. You just put them on. You just try to get as close to 100% of time as possible, and then you just spam them on cooldown if you have 100% of time, and if not, you just use them whenever you fight. That's it. There's no thoughts behind it really. Unless you're bossing. I guess on Lilith, you have to think about how you use them.
Yeah, and it's not just barbs, right? This isn't like a barb specific thing. Sorcerers, every sorcerer build takes the same 4 defensive skills on every single. I mean, some skills for some classes have like 99% usage, so they're aware of that. But yeah, this is everywhere in Diablo 4 currently.
Yeah. How it's gonna be. Guys, can you? I know, like you're not only handsome, you're also really, really smart. Diablo players, can you already, after seeing the patch notes, predict what will be the strongest, what will be the new meta in Season 2?
I don't want to snitch. I'm not doing that thing that Rob keeps doing and killing Barb. I'm not doing that.
Okay. cArn is answering.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Nah, I think Bleed in general is going to be extremely strong. I don't know which version exactly, but I think Bleed in general will be very, very strong. Because you can, for Bob at least, because I'm not going to talk about the other classes because I haven't had time to look into them too much because I was busy with PoE stuff. But for Bob at least, like Bleed, if you play Bleed, you can, basically, we lost the crit multi and Vuln multipliers, but if you play Bleed, you see get those. So you see get to scale, crit multi and Vuln, so I think this will be pretty strong.
I thought you said you weren't snitching.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, though. It's very obvious. You guys all know. Like, it's very obvious. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So. Like, everybody's gonna know. Rob's gonna make a video about these things anyway. So, like,
You might as well beat him to the punch.
Yeah, just like, I know he's gonna ruin it again. He does this every league, every season. So yeah.
What do you think will be the strongest? Something
Well, I
overpower
think-
druid, overpower necromancer, maybe.
Yeah, I think one of the big winners of the patch is definitely overpower. And so you look at the things like who is really good at overpowering or is supposed to be. Druid's supposed to be very good.
Blood
Necro
necromancer.
is supposed to be really good. Minion Necro is getting buffs left and right. There are a lot of synergies there for the pulverized druid. I think like every 15 enemies that you get, your next pulverized gets 50% multiplicative damage from one of the uniques. I mean, pulverize hits the entire screen. You run past the room, you turn around, they chase you. You throw one pulverize, and you can almost, if not every pulverize, every other pulverize is just 50% harder. And pulverize already clears the whole room. I don't know how good it'll be for bossing, but maybe Mr. Mods can chime in. Maybe he's been theory crafting, but I think the big bear, big smash build at a minimum is going to just decimate leveling to 100.
Yeah. No, there's already really good human form druid boss builds. Like for Uber Lilith, you could just go human form pulverize, so you don't even go perma bear. And it's already really, really strong hit for insane amounts. With dumb buff and overpower, it's going to be even that much better. I don't know, honestly, I was looking at minions. Honestly, Minion Necro might take it by surprise. I know like they're scared of giving that passive play style a lot of power, but they're giving them a lot of survivability, like Mendelin taking off the requirements, like for having like 7 minions. A lot of the legendaries, right? They don't have the requirements on those either for activating their bonuses. Minion Necro actually looks like it might be really strong, and you can just sit back, drink a beer, maybe watch some Netflix, watch a stream while your
That's
minions
what I'm
kill
hoping.
everything. One button play style.
Yeah, I'll shoot my shot at minions. I'll guess minions too. That's what I would think. I'm gonna go with my boy Ghazi. That's what he was saying he thinks, and I'm gonna agree with him there. I hope it's minions too, because that's the one I want to play the most. But hey, if it's pulverized druid and that's the one I want to play the second most, I'm okay with either one of those being the best. I'll be honest.
And yeah, you're gonna have the greatest season ever.
Didn't Warnado not get touched?
Warnado got touched because of rampaging Werebeast.
Yeah.
Went from 990 crit damage to 200.
Oh, right, like that one. Oh, yeah, that hit it too. Yeah.
Lost
It's still
800 CHD. It's still going to rule, though.
Super strong, yeah.
But you got to find it, though. You still have to find the Tempest Roar, because Tempest Roar, the loot table is in Duriel. So you either get to the end game. The whole point is you can't get your Tempest Roar till the end game. Well, now you farm it from Duriel. So
that was a bad position to put that one in, I feel like. That's the one everyone wants. They should put that in an easier boss, I think. Give people the ability to farm that one a little easier.
Nah, you work for it.
not buying it. He's not buying it.
Yeah, you just work for it. Yeah.
One thing in general, like if I were to choose one way or another, I'm interested in your guys' opinion on this, because had conversations on this before. But I'm not talking about bugs. I'm just talking about the actual power level of the build. No bugs. I think it would do Blizzard a lot more favors if the most powerful builds were really powerful, rather than the most powerful builds just kind of feel meh. I don't think Blizzard loses too much when they're super powerful, because then people have fun. When a casual player builds their bear druid, if they start one-shotting everything, oh my god, this is so fun. At least they're enjoying their time. Whereas if they're rebalancing in this patch, has made everything very difficult and everything feels real tough on people, then I'm assuming the masses are going to be like, wow, they rebalanced everything, and guess what the end result was? My favorite build just feels like crap. So if it does end up that some of these builds like Minion Necro or Pulverized Druid are just dominating, I don't think that's a problem in a vacuum, at least for this season. And I think they can fix it later. I think that would be a way better result than them sucking.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I had that thought actually recently. I think I like games to be difficult and challenging and everything, but in RPGs, you always want to be able to get to the point where you're OP. Like this is you want the journey, at the end of the journey of your character, where you get everything you want, all your items you want, all the legendary powers you want, etc., all the gear you want. You want to be powerful. You want to be OP. That's the entire goal. Like the power fantasy, right? If you cannot reach it, then yeah, like why are you playing? Like, why are you suffering early to just keep suffering later, or just being like, no, you want to feel powerful. So like,
Yep.
I think the game being hard in the early to mid game is a good thing, but I think very end game, when you're done with your character, finish your character, you should be overpowered. That is fine after you put all the time to finish everything, right?
Yeah, no, that hits a nail on the head. Yeah, you want to be one-shot and stuff at the end. Why farm if you're? It's going to be the same at level 50, right, compared to level 100.
Yeah.
Let's hope my buddy Necromancer gonna be the strongest one, the most
Wait, what are you gonna
beautiful one
play?
with the minions.
Wait, what are you going to play?
Me?
Yeah.
From the fantasy-wise, Necromancer is my favorite character, and Blood Necromancer was my favorite build, and I was playing it when the overpower wasn't even close to OP, but it just felt funny. And I either will be playing Blood Necromancer, then going into the minions, or I will be playing the Sorceress, because Incinerate now looks maybe that Incinerate will be dealing damage, and maybe it will be fun also. Just I like the whole, it feels so good. Your character is on one place and just shooting this beam of fire absolutely everywhere, burning everything. This actually will be OP. Yes, I will be there. I will be playing Fire Sorceress with Incinerate. Hope, but okay, but we'll see. Guys, the ultimate question. What would you like to add right now? The patch added a lot of things that we were asking for, but what else? What else are we missing? What else do we need?
Endgame.
Yeah, it's
That's
exactly what. Specifically, leaderboard and the new activity for the leaderboard will be coming in the season 3. What else?
Okay.
Arena, PvP arena, maybe not.
SSF.
Okay.
Raxx is answering.
SSF. Yeah.
So, for me personally, I think one of the big things that they dropped is not having crafting. I think crafting is an important part of an ARPG, having the ability to customize, make your own loot, like grind different bosses, get materials to enhance it. So I'd love to have crafting in the game. So that's like the first major thing that I would really want them to add. And then outside of that, it is like more general end game farmable content. They have so much like open world stuff they don't utilize. Like we like go into a stronghold. It's like this thematic area. We overtake it, and then sometimes there's a Legion event there, right? And they have all this like focus on expanding open world. Like do something with strongholds, right? You know, like making them reactive, make them have like stronger enemies during hell tides. Maybe make like influence expand into them. I don't know. So
Agreed with crafting, especially now the resistances mean something. If we could have a way to like change the ring implicit, or craft better ones, etc. Double down on the crafting for me. Upgrading isn't enough, and after experience crafting in other games, I realized like that just widens the game up so much and gives you a whole nother way to acquire items that feels good and you feel smart for doing it. I would absolutely love to have crafting in the game. 100% agreed.
Yeah, and so crafting would be a major one. To talk about like end game stuff in general, like what was the problem with some of the end game stuff that they currently have, and how does it compare to something that works? The problem with some of their end game stuff is there really is no purpose. Why would you do 100 nightmare dungeons other than to level your paraglyphs? Why do you fight Uber Lilith? Okay, you get a title in the mount, but the mount isn't even good. She doesn't have a good loot table. The implementation of the Uber bosses is better. There's a progression system. You get these materials to summon a boss, to target farm, and you get an Uber unique. Like that has a purpose. When you go to Path of Exile, you have your Atlas tree. You go clear every map, and then you get these passive points, and then you get these invitations to go fight these specific bosses, which give you these void stones that you want for these permanent buffs. You go to Last Epoch, they have a monolith system and how you're moving away and you build the corruption and you target farm. There's a very specific method to the madness on why you're doing it. The whole like discombobulated run nightmare dungeons, I guess, until you're 100, level some glyphs, and then fight this boss that doesn't give you anything, that doesn't work. So what I will be looking for in their future endgame implementation is, okay, what is the activity that we're doing? And what's the purpose of it? Like if I run 100 Helltides, do I level up my ability in Helltide and become the Helltide commander and get more rewards or special drops or special hell tide dungeon can drop inside of it or something. Like, it's not just adding something that level 100 characters can do. What is the intention? What am I building toward? What am I working on in that endgame system? That's what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah,
But
they do need to make Lilith actually have a purpose to do. Like, just there's no reason to do her right now. If you wanted to, there's nothing to get from her. So, like, I think they should. I would like to see more bosses like Ubrili that are difficult, challenging, but that have like rewards that are meaningful, so that you have actually a really good incentive to make a character strong enough and learn the fight, etc., and go do it. Because it's a good step. It's the first step. It's the first good step with the Duriel and Varshan and the other guy, the 3 new bosses. It's already a good step. Like you said, yeah, you have a purpose. You go farm these guys. They give you stuff, and you have to do different type of content to get to them. But I would like to see more stuff like Ubulele that's like really difficult and should challenge like to like throw your OP character at, right? Like, you want to throw your characters like level 100 perfect gear, and you want something that can challenge it. Because I'm like I was talking about, like, you want to feel OP, but I don't want that to be the case like against something even like Ubulele. To some extent, at least, like not too much, right? Like you want some stuff in some content in the game that will challenge your character, your finished character. You can throw it at it and see how strong it can be.
Do these new bosses excite you for that then? Considering that we're getting, 5 bosses added into the game, let's assume you get your OP character. Now you can be like, how good is it against each of these different 5 bosses?
Oh no, these bosses are gonna be pushovers. I don't think they already said it's gonna be easier than Lilith, so I think they're gonna be jokes probably.
Sure, but I was thinking if you have your point is you want to show off an OP character, so now you have 5 new ways in which to do that. I was wondering if that'd be something exciting for you.
No, I mean in this case, no, it won't be. You can't show off like you can't like limit test your character against these bosses because they already said they're easier than Lilith, so that's what you would do against Lilith currently. But you can do that against these bosses because they already advertise them as intermediate bosses pretty much, which is a good thing. Like we didn't have any of those, so now we have some of these. But we need more super endgame bosses like Lilith on that level of difficulty.
But
I think that's not gonna. Sorry?
Pretty good.
Yeah, sorry, it just was the comment that, and the Lilith will be now changed. Lilith will be adjusted somehow.
Yeah, I think that was has to do with them rebalancing monsters because everything changed. Crit multi, crit damage, vuln, all that stuff. That's just part of them keeping the game, the character power at a similar level than what it was before, I think. So who knows? She might be too hard, she might be too easy. It's impossible to know.
Yeah. And another thing I think they should do for the game is just enable trading for everything, right? Having like an economy is a large part of an ARPG. Then other people enjoy certain aspects. So like as they add more bosses, as they add more aspirational content, a lot of people want. Some people don't like doing that. Some people just like scurrying around in the open world, farming hell tides, or like doing open world bosses. They're just doing easy nightmare dungeons. They just like acquiring currency. Right. And then they don't actually want to do the harder stuff, but they want to obtain it. Right. So I think having an economy is pretty important to an ARPG also. And especially if they add crafting or, they're eventually going to add runes and rune words and expanding like all the different systems. Right. They've already announced a couple things that they plan for the game, and not having those tradables, I think, would be a major drawback. But yeah, just having an economy is a major reason why people play ARPGs. Diablo 2, you're hunting runes, right? Path of Exile, how many divine orbs can I get an hour? And that's usually how people gauge, how good a league is, how much currency you're generating. So having like the currency in the game and building off that and having the ability to trade and manipulate stuff, I think would be better too. So, and they are kind of doing that with these new bosses. The boss parts will be tradable, so you could swap them for gear or gold. And then if you don't want to kill bosses, you could just, hey, I got my parts, let's summon the boss, and you could get a boss killer to kill it for you. So there'll be a little bit more of an economy with the addition of this content, but I think it should be more free and open.
But how do you think, is it going to cause a problem with pay-to-win problem? That there are going to be a bunch of just weird websites where you will be able to just buy. If they allow more trading, if they allow legendary items to be tradable, the aspects, the unique items to be tradable, people will just go on a website and buy them for actual money.
Yeah. I think that comes down to the company. They should police their game they shouldn't just like punish players because they're worried about RMT, right? They need to take a harsh stance on it and try to control it, not just be like, hey, we don't want to do this because of potential RMT. And yeah, if they really want to, like the bot companies will just like gear up accounts and just sell entire accounts and people to buy accounts. But that's what they do in other games. If there's money to be made, the third-party websites will always try to circumvent it for profit. Yeah, they're making third-party trading RMT websites, billion-dollar a year industry. They'll always do it.
Yeah, I think to what Mod said, I think in general, you shouldn't ever design your game based upon the people who cheat your game. You should
Yes.
instead police your game and build the best game that you think you can build. If you're making decisions based upon all the bad people rather than all the good people, all the the massive amounts of the average player, I think you're making a gigantic mistake. I don't think you could ever do that.
Big true.
Yeah, guys.
So it doesn't feel like there's any items really that you would want to buy in the game. I mean, there's uber uniques, and everything else is very
aspects.
acquirable.
I
Aspects,
leveled
like good aspects.
I leveled 2 druids 1 to 100. I found 6 Tempest Roars on the first one and 7 on the second one. I bet you I could have sold those Tempest Roars. I
could
could have
be
bought a lot
rich.
of Chipotle with that. Yeah, I would be
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah, I got on my necromancer like 4 leadless walls now. So yeah, that's happening. Guys, I have a special, like really special topic to ask you. I mean, me, right now, playing Diablo 4, I feel myself like we are constantly on some love-hate roller coaster. Either on hype-hate roller coaster. Because when the game was released, we went, woohoo! Hype, top of the roof, best game ever. Megan Fox is there. Absolutely, everyone was so excited. That was insane. That was when just over the roof. And then, season 1, boom! We are going so deep back to the hate, to the oh my gosh, everything is bad, everything is horrible, worst game ever. Now they're releasing again the patch. They are releasing again. They're adding a lot of improvements, and the hype is starting building. And we're gonna have the BlizzCon, and I'm pretty sure what Blizzard can build the hype. Definitely they can. And that's how I feel playing this game so far. We will see. But I sincerely don't. Do you have a theory? This is right now we're entering the territory where I have like all the conspiracy theories. I don't know why releasing the game in the state that the game was, then releasing the absolute nerf patch, and then in a couple of months releasing a super patch that's fixing a lot of issues. Okay, not everything, but a lot of issues. So that was possible, I believe. Then before it was possible, then where are we? Do you have the ultimate theory why they're doing this? I had my conspiracy theory. I went already really deep on this. My conspiracy theory that they needed somehow that in season 1 they would have less players on the servers. I don't know why, but they needed it somehow, and they released it. And they released this patch. Everyone went away, and now we are going back because they need us. I don't know, okay? It just really feels for me really weird.
I do not. I don't believe in this at all. I think there's a very simple explanation. Hindsight is 20/20. I think they just messed up. Blizzard, if they had the chance for quite a few of their titles in the last few years, they would have a lot of takebacks if they could. There's quite a few things that they've done in the last several years on many different things that we're all aware of that they would just like a take back on. I think they just messed up. I think it is released an unfinished game. I think they nerfed before they made the game fun, wrong order of operations. And I think internally they had a paradigm shift and they're just trying to fix it. I am absolutely 100% trying. I would love to be a full part of this positive momentum, just ride it into the sunset with BlizzCon, and the game just soars eventually to a 10 out of 10, and we just love the game in the future. It's completely possible, but with how things have gone in the past, I think everyone has at least a little bit of skepticism in them. But I don't think there's a different explanation. No, I'm not believing any of the conspiracy theories. I think they just straight up messed up, and if they could do it all again, they'd do everything differently. They release it later. They'd implement more of the testing. All the quality of life features would be in there. They'd go bigger for the seasonal themes if they could. They'd front load a lot of the changes. I think it was just straight up a mistake with no other explanation to it.
If I had to guess, and this is all it is a guess, is that there's a split, right? You have the people developing the game, then you have the people marketing the game. And when the people that are marketing the game have more influence over when the game is released and how everything will be done than the people who are creating the game have, you're going to end up with situations like these. I'm sure they had X millions of dollars already prepared, dates set, people hired. They have this whole marketing campaign, game's already delayed, go, 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 go. They have a release date. Maybe the people internally are like, this game is not going to be good and not going to be ready by the time all the marketing team is pushing everyone to be ready. Well, guess what? They're not the ones who get to decide. So everyone tells them, finish the game. Make the game as good as you can for when the marketing team says the game is going to be released. So then they struggle to make the game ready. They polish up what they can, which is basically half of a skeleton, and they say, here's a complete human. When the marketing team says, look, we created the best human ever made, here you go, and it's half a skeleton. So we would go fast forward 6 months in the future. Now we got, a skeleton of it, and now the marketing team is, look at this, a full, complete human skeleton, but it's like, we all came for a human. Where's the human? So I'm pretty sure that that's what happened over the long period of time. And I'm not saying it's not going to be a full complete human by the end of it. It just ain't right now. But they're going to keep selling like it is because you think they want people not to buy their game? Obviously they do. So I think it's a mismatch between marketing and development. It was my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with them on this one. I think it was probably they had to ship the game, but they're not ready. It was not done, and they just shipped it anyway, and that's all. That's all there's to it. I think there's still some of them not really know what they're doing either. Like there's some stuff that doesn't make any sense in the game on release. Like even from something as simple as stats on the items, you will see something like damage while berserking. The lower on the items would be lower than something that's completely unconditional. It made no sense at all. There's like a lot of things like this that was like completely that just I don't know how just didn't make sense. And the things that happened in season 1 too, the patches on season 1, that was to me that told me that they didn't really know what they were doing with the game right now. At least when it comes to like balancing it and tweaking it properly. So I think it's a bit of both, honestly. It's like what DM said and a little bit of them. I don't know. Maybe got lost a bit. Like I lost track of what was going on.
But I'll tell you guys, just from my weird perspective, I see the changes that are implemented right now that are like the changes that we all wanted, and a lot of them seems to be like an easy fix. I don't know, like the search bar in a stash, something like this, or like the filter in a stash, or those kind of things. I don't know. I'm not a game developer, obviously, but no, these things existed in Diablo 3 at least, and that's why this is where the base of my conspiracy theories are coming from. Like, but you did it. You already did it in the different games. You have it. You already have it there. That's why it's so kind of. It feels for me so weird.
But maybe the stash search is having to search through every item ever created in the entire game because all of the databases are connected together.
Including all the players' items and searching those too.
Yeah, search every single stash in the server or in the shard. I think it's probably had to do because it was mostly it's very obvious it was made for consoles, right? So it's a console game ported to PC. That's what it is. And in console, you don't need that. Like rather you can't really. I don't know. That's the main explanation for these things not being in the game, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense for these things to not be in from the beginning.
Pretty much. Do you have a conspiracy theory, DatModz?
Oh man, I love conspiracy theories. No, I know there is. So I followed the development of Diablo 4 pretty closely, and they had a pretty rocky development cycle, right? They had like leadership swaps. There was like the Cosby Suite stuff and all the different allegations and like their lawsuits, and then they basically lost their game director and everyone else, and then they ended up bringing Rod and they basically swapped their entire their entire leadership roles. I don't know about like the actual developers and stuff, but there was a huge leadership role swap, and that obviously impacted the title. And then I know they had like some delays, and I'm pretty sure, just like DM said, they said, hey, this is when the game needs to be out. We're not delaying it anymore. Just get it done, and we'll fix stuff as we go forward.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys, are you positive about the future of the game? DM?
I was very negative. I lost all hope after season 1 dropped. I was like, okay, this is hopeless. There's no future for this game. But I've been pleasantly surprised with this patch. So I hope again. I hope. I think the game, because I want the game to be good. Like the game, I think has potential to be a very, very good game. Obviously, there's a lot to work on. Like we already talked about everything that needs to be worked on. But I think if these things get tackled in a timely manner, then the game could be very good. Yeah, it would be a second game for me if that happened. Second main game.
To answer the question, I have a pretty simple stance, which is I played plenty of games that were bad and then became good. No Man's Sky would be one such example. However, much like No Man's Sky, when it was bad, I did not play it. When it became good, I will play it. I don't have any fundamental issue with if they wanted to release a game and it's not complete. It's like, okay, well, that's your decision. People aren't going to like it if it's not completed. If I'm positive, I think it will eventually be better than it is. I think they're proving that with what season 2 seems better than season 1. If I had a gun in my head and had to be forced yes or no better, I think it's probably better. So that would make me positive, right? But do I know when the game is going to make me want to play it more than like logging into PoE? I mean, who knows here? Like there's other competition at the moment that makes me interested in playing other games. I'm going to go with what's fun. And if Diablo 4 comes out with fun shit, I will play the fun shit. At the moment, it's not fun, so I'm not playing it. I am positive that they're going to continue to develop the game. Why? Because the one thing I know for a fact is Blizzard wants to make money. And if they keep cranking out the game, people will keep buying the game. There'll be battle passes. They'll crank out an expansion. Probably sell the content we should have got this season as an expansion anyway, and they'll make more money. So do I think Blizzard wants to give up on the game they made the most money ever on? Probably not. So it's probably going to be developed further, which means it will probably get better. Or else, how can it get worse? What are they going to do? Remove content out of the game? So yeah, it's probably going to get better, but hopefully it gets better soon enough that we all don't forget about it and move on to PoE too.
Amen.
Yeah, so,
Exactly.
Yeah, so one thing for me about what's my emotion toward the game, positive or negative? Hey, in the end of everything, you want them to develop everything that you want that's fun. But the most critical thing for that to happen, which is what I'm looking for about whether I think that stuff is coming or not, is hearing Blizzard say, I don't want to hear it from content creators. I don't want to hear it from the forums. I don't want to hear it from anyone but Blizzard. What do you think the problems are? What are you trying to solve? And if they have the issues with the game correctly articulated and they're trying to work on those solutions, then I will have a favorable opinion. The thing that I remember the most out of yesterday's podcast is when Adam Jackson was explaining some of the different build problems, when he was saying sorcerers take the same 4 skills all the time. Anybody that plays a minion build, they die all the time. When I was hearing him saying that, I was saying, barbs shout all the time. How do we solve it? But if we solve it just by nerfing them, then barbs are going to be mad because then we took away their beautiful shouts. I was sitting there, I was like, yes, that. And when Joe Shelley said, we know what the problem is, the end game isn't fun, there's nothing to do. Yes, exactly that. Those words from Blizzard broadcasting it, that's what gives me faith of them, at least in conjunction with what I'm thinking, they're identifying the problems that they're going to address in the future. That's what makes me positive about what might be coming.
Yeah, Blizzard's in rehab, and the first thing you do in rehab is admit you have a problem.
Let it have.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think season 1, I remember I was like, okay, the game's dead. Season 1 is because they talked about the wrong things in season 1 when the dev streams. And I was like, okay, they're completely off base. But like, yeah, like you said, the streamers, the last broadcast actually gave a lot of hope that things will go in the right direction.
Yeah. I really liked yesterday during the podcast, Adam Jackson. First of all, he was explaining everything in a wonderful English language, so it was everything understandable. And second of all, just the whole feeling that he knows what he's talking about. This skill does that. Okay, this is doing this, because this whole constantly. I'm pretty sure you also see this in the chat. That the complaint that developers are not playing the game that they are making. They do. And it's how he was talking about the game, how he was explaining things. That's really, really giving you the feeling he knows what he's talking about. He knows what the people feel and think about the game. And yeah, it is quite positive. What do you think about the future?
Yeah, so Diablo 4, it's very reminiscent of Diablo 3 launching. I've been playing Diablo games forever and even streaming them. But Diablo 3 was in the same exact shoes as Diablo 4. Released, overtuned, there wasn't a lot of content. And then Reaper of Souls came out, right? And then it started going uphill and people started talking more positively about it. I like what Blizzard's doing in terms of community outreach, having like these different live broadcasts, having these talks, just seeing like actual people in front of you and communicating and them being receptive to community concerns is very important. And you can tell that they are learning from their mistakes. They're not taking the high road of, hey, we know what you guys want and you don't actually want what you want. And they're actually bending the knee and they are making good adjustments. So going into the future, the roadmap at BlizzCon, I think that's going to be a telltale of what's to come. And I think that's going to be pretty important for what to expect. I think their announcement at BlizzCon will also hold a lot of weight, but actually, I'm fairly positive. I'm fairly hopeful about the future of Diablo 4 after these most recent dev streams, because they are going back on things that they said before and making changes, and they're not just say we're not gonna change ever. They are making changes, and they are trying to make the game better. You could actually see it, and it's going to take more time. It's not going to be the perfect game right away, but there's a lot of games that started out that way. I remember way back when I started playing PoE in 2012, people made fun of me for playing it because that all it had was like desync and there was like no maps and there wasn't even like Scion in the game, or there's like no refarmable content. There's like no loot filters in the game. So yeah, like games get better, like right over time. Like there's been like look at Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky, Path of Exile early on. Like yeah, like they could definitely turn it around. They just need to be open ears and that's it.
Actually, I have a question related to what you said about them bending the knee, and just listening to feedback, doing what people want. What do you think about Renown being completely skipped now, on top of the campaign skip?
W.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's better, right?
I don't know.
Here's my thing for Renown. Right?
Do you like the Renown grind?
I mean, I think the altar and exploration part of the Renown being carried over is fine because it's very tedious. Just you go around the map like a casual little pixel to discover another area. These things are it's tedious. But I think the rest of the Renown was, I think, something that should have stayed as a thing that you had to refarm every season. If it were up to me, even the campaign, you'd have to do it again. But I mean, I might be an extreme.
Nope. No one is listening. No, that's all wrong.
Because I feel like it's like one of these things where it's like, you think you want this, but you don't, right? But I mean, I think in the case of Renown, like I said, like the first half of the Renown, I think being carried over is a good thing. But the second part, I don't know. Yeah. I'm also fine with the campaign being skipped, but I feel like I enjoy like getting faster at getting to the early progression. It feels good. As you play the game more, as you get better, as you learn more, etc., etc. And that part is like completely scrapped from the game because it just carries over.
I feel like that's a hot
Raxx.
take. I mean, I get the logic, but it seems tedious and mind-numbing to do Renown every season.
Yeah, so for me, for Renown, it seems counterintuitive to just give you all the Renown, because the thing that we're complaining about more than almost anything is there's a lack of things to do in Diablo 4. So
Exactly.
why in the world would we advocate to remove something to do in Diablo 4? But I think with Renown, I think they should give it to us for like a more fundamental reason than that. It's just not fun to do. It's not fun for me to run around and do okay, I got to do 16 dungeons here. It gives me no XP. It gives me no loot. I would rather be doing
No.
Nightmare Dungeons or Helltide. I just have to do 16 regular dungeons across the South. I have to go do these side
Yep.
quests, pick 3 flowers for Molly, bake 3 apple pies. This guy died. I have to dig him up and help him. If I have to do that every season, I'm going to jump off a cliff. If Renown was fun, the game could certainly benefit from things to do. Renown to me is terrible. It's just not fun to do. So I don't want them to remove stuff from the game, but Renown is not fun. So I thank God every day that we don't have to do it again. But maybe you're right. Maybe go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. If you want to finish up your thoughts, go for it.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if they told me that, okay, we're taking the Renown and we're moving it to the new bosses, so you have to go do the new bosses, and that's where you get your Renown from, I'd be like, fine. It's not acquiring the Renown that I hate. And I agree with C'Arn's point about it's removing content in a game that there's a lack of content. That's a good point. I agree with Raxx, however, that's boring to do. And I think we're losing people in the part of the game that is boring, which is the majority of the game as the game sits. So let's cut out the boring bits, rush people into the bits that isn't boring as shit. Maybe they'll stay in the game longer. Do I think it would be more content? Yeah, probably. But I think what's more fun for me is to have a community that's bigger. And when there's 3.5 people playing the game, like it's not, for me, that's not very fun. So let's stop losing people the Renown.
Like, you're all
Like,
wrong.
Yeah.
What we should do.
I wouldn't.
Renown should
Go ahead,
exist
Anna.
the first time when you are entering the game. No, when the new player is just joining the game. Renown, there should be Renown just because it is the cool way to introduce you to the game. You are doing it all first time. Then it should be account bound. But what should be brought back, and I know that you're all not gonna like it, but it doesn't matter. It's still awesome. What should be brought back is the Altars of Lilith, but they should change the location every single season.
See, I agree.
And
actually
every
with that. I actually
season
did
you
not
have, they shouldn't have any XP buff or any some whatever buff that's actually affecting your gameplay. They should have some gold, okay? They should have some mats probably, but not like drastically something. So you wouldn't feel yourself, people who doesn't like it, they shouldn't go for that. They don't need to, they don't have to. But as a challenge in the game, for people who love exploring and for people who like this feeling that I am exploring the map, I'm searching for this map, I'm searching for the altars. I was searching for the altars, guys, without the map, without opening any maps. I just liked it to go through the landscape of Diablo because the map is beautiful and trying to find those goddammit altars. And again, not forcing this on people, but if they would be changing the location every single season, some people who like I hope a lot of people who like the mindset that collecting the altars could go for something not only for power in this game, but also for achievement that would be just achievement that you collected all the altars.
You really better hope that Asmongold doesn't watch this podcast, because if he watches it and he hears that take, you are not going to be invited to his birthday party.
Oh, come on! I will sneak this idea at some point.
I'll say one thing. Maybe not reset every season, but I hated that we could see, we already knew where all the altars were. We had the map and we just go just pick them up. I hated that. I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable if you just play the game and then just run into one, or you expect one to be in that place maybe, and you just do them once and you're done, right? But like the fact that there was a map out there before the game even released, where you knew where every single altar was, I hated that. It removed a lot of, I don't know, not discovery, but like, you know, it removed a lot of I like exploration, like in any game that can have like a reasonable appeal to exploration, and if we can have that, then I would have preferred it should be that way.
Yeah, you just all don't understand.
So-
You don't understand fun. What can I do?
Okay, so I'm all for options. Different people like different things in games. You know, some people like achievement hunting, but optional is the key word. I don't like that they
Exactly.
attach power to it, and you have to go do it. Like that's absolutely no. and
Absolutely optional.
even the first time I was doing Altars of Lilith, I was not like, this is fun. I was like, this is not really fun.
Completely
It was like
agree.
I literally had a
Yeah, it is not.
checklist right here.
Yeah, it
And
is
it
not
felt
fun.
like I was preparing for an exam. I was just like check, 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 check.
Completely.
Okay, poof, it's over. Okay, I passed. Let's go play the game. So optional, yes. Mandatory, absolutely not. I passed.
just
I never
deflating.
want to touch it ever again.
Okay,
It's
guys,
like-
this is a tough audience. Damn it. One day I will
I mean, I
sit
agreed.
here.
I agreed. What do you mean?
Whew, thank God. At least someone.
Felt like my
Yeah, I did
reward
agree.
for completing the campaign was to go pick up 1 million like Makoko seeds from Lost Ark. It was like, congratulations, campaign's over. Now go fuck yourself for 4 hours, and then you can play the game. I'm not trying to be Ash Ketchum here. I don't know what we're doing. It bored the actual bejesus out of me.
I'm sad. Anyway, people. We are good, I must say. I don't want to torture you for too long. Is there anything, if you want to add something, if there's some topic that... wait a second! I need to say something really, really important. Please drop it. You have this moment, this time, I don't know. If you want to share with us, or if you want to also ask us something, then please do it.
Thinking.
Okay, if you had to make an Uber unique, all right, what's your Uber unique that you want to add to the game? Anything. World's your oyster. The devs themselves fly you down there, say, we're going to put your face on a helmet, and your helmet does what? Go.
I don't want to be a helmet, first of all. I don't want to make a helmet.
So,
Oh, you
would be my
can, you
first
can make
comment as
whatever
well.
your heart desires.
I
Those are
mean, that's
tough
that.
ones.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I would take.
So
I mean, it would definitely be like Raxx said, something that just changes how a skill functions fundamentally. Which one? I mean,
So
No,
my favorite class is Barb. I'll go with on going off what cArn said. I'll go with Barb, my favorite class. And one skill that you put it on and you use it, and I think it's just like the dumbest skill ever, is double swing. I know it's pretty good
Yeah.
right now, but it swings in a tiny little area in front of you and does nothing. So if they fly me to Blizzard and they said, you can design a unique, I'm like, all right, well, let's help double swing. And double swing's going to do something crazy. First of all, it's going to like cleave the whole room, and then it's going to actually throw the weapons like boomerangs and come back to you and just throw fire everywhere and just destroy the whole room. Like now this is a skill I can actually use. You know, something that changes something fundamentally. Chain lightning summons a huge thunderstorm that follows you. It zaps everything, you know. Be bold and be brave. People like that way more than 50% damage, and you shoot an extra projectile.
yeah, I am behind the double swing hitting more than one monster. I can get behind that.
I like that.
Yeah, I would use that skill then.
I like proc-based stuff, so I like playing Druid. I feel like auto attack skills are underutilized, so I would make something that would proc randomly, and would have synergy with symbiotic that reduces your cooldown. That would use your core skills at random, so it'd be essentially like a multi-elemental build, and you would auto attack the trigger stuff, and then you would build it around like cooldown reduction. I don't know essentially how I'd do it though, but yeah, I would like more auto attack centric builds in the game. They kind of like Bulwark, but it was like too stationary.
Oh, guys.
You want to pick cock?
It's like, yeah, it's almost like cock build, yeah, from PoE. I love cock builds, like trigger builds like that are so fun.
Oh, that's a clip right there.
Yeah. I love cock. Oh man.
Oops.
Well, if you don't know, there's this other game called Path of Exile, and there's this gem called Cast on Critical Strike. Okay,
That's already not in
And,
the clip.
it's
That's already not in the clip. No one cares.
Let me explain myself. And it's a lot to say.
The
Some
internet,
people
there's
just
no
call
context.
Yep.
Call it
It's
cock.
over. It's
Yeah.
over.
We asked DatModz to design an Uber unique, and he said, "I love talk."
Hey, I like what I like. Okay, let's make it happen, Blizzard.
God damn it, man.
Oh shit.
Okay, I obviously don't believe that I will ever be able to beat this, but my one, it would be an amulet, and it would be an amulet that would summon, goddammit, 20 chickens for the necromancer. And dead chickens, make it dead chickens, I don't care. And they will be running around and exploding on the mobs, on every mobs, and you can target them into like doing a one massive goddammit explosion on the boss.
Did you know, Anna, they essentially have that in Last Epoch? The, what is it?
The squirrels? Is it the squirrels?
Yeah. Yeah. The
That's his
Beastmaster
item.
has 5 wolves. There's a unique helmet that doubles your wolves and turns them into 10 squirrels.
Yeah, this is helmet.
This is the
So your
helmet,
dream has already come true in Last Epoch.
Yeah. Not in Diablo. We will be waiting.
Yeah, but I mean,
We will be waiting.
it's like things like this. We need things like this in D4 too. Like a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff that just makes your skill do crazy shit. That you would not be able to do otherwise. Because a lot of things right now, it's like, oh, you can still do the same. They just do the same things, just you have more damage, or you have some stats, or there's like very few items that actually change how your abilities work mechanically, and that's what we need there. That's fun.
Okay. Whew. Now it's goddammit really hot here. Guys, anyone wanna add something?
D4 maybe not bad.
We all know, we all believe.
We're okay-ish.
Guys, I'm really, really grateful. Big thank you for everyone to joining me today. Thank you so much. I hope that was fun for you. I don't know. Chat, say in the comments how did you like it? And big thank you to my guests. You were absolutely incredible. You are awesome. So thank you.
Thanks
Have an
for having us.
amazing day.
Thanks for the
Thanks, you
invite.
guys. It was a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, that's it.